Hello, I wanted to follow up on my last YouTube video regarding the 3G fly-wireless sensor and the tail drift and such that I had. I just got a couple test flights in and the results were very good. The thing is on rails and locked in. So I thought I'd just run through some of the things that I've found or experienced that may help somebody out. One, at first, I didn't have the sensor strapped down very tight, just kind of lightly. You know, that's typical fashion. Well, since I was getting tail drift, what I did is I literally strapped the thing down hard, really hard. And if you notice, I mean, the whole helicopter moves when I'm trying to move this thing. So that's bolted down really good, and it's just using one align pad and of course the align Velcro, and it's strapped down really good, and that seemed to cure the tail problem altogether, and everything is fine. Another thing I wanted to just mention for setting purposes, if anybody is interested, I don't know if you can see that, but the aileron and elevator gain on the unit itself is set to 9 o'clock, and it's pretty much solid. There may be a very minute amount of bobble during very hard tick-tocks. Otherwise, it's really good. And another thing to mention, and for those that are using the 7100 series receivers that you can split off your voltages, as you can see, I'm just using a 2-cell straight for the cyclic stuff, but if you don't know, or you didn't notice in the manual, if you use the rudder section down below that actually is 5.2 volts and you carry that up to the unit, that's going to carry that voltage to the rudder servo from the 3G unit. That means you do not have to use a step down on the tail servo. So if you're having problems with a tail and you have a step down and you're using this setup, I'm not sure, maybe the voltage is too low or something along that lines. Anyway, something to look for regardless. A couple other things in the manual, it states to use 10 millimeters on the horn for the tail servo. I ended up at the second hole from the outside, and the reason for that, and I set all the helis I have up like this, I bypass the gyro altogether at first and plug it right into the rudder channel, and I find the hole that is going to give you the most mechanical throw all the way from one end to the other of the tail slider. And this second hole from the outside on this star wheel achieved that. And it's working well. I have no lag, nothing like that. It's locked in, ridiculously fast backwards flight. It's solid, no blowouts or anything. So just another thing to look for. And I've also, as I do with all the helis, set them up in rate mode. And if you're not a rate mode fan, or don't believe in that, and you're having problems, you may want to try it. I'm not saying it'll cure anything, but it just makes sense to set the tail up in rate mode. And the reason for that is if you don't, the helicopter's already trying to correct, or the gyro, to keep the nose or the tail straight. If there's not that additional pitch in the tail to help center it to begin with. Now, keep in mind when you go back and you do set it in rate mode, you're going to have to readjust the endpoints on the gyro, because of course it's going to be one way a little farther than the other. And if you want to see what that looks like when it is set up in rate mode, let me just move the helicopter so you can see. With the servo centered, the tail servo, this is what the tail blades look like. Now if you notice, I don't know how many degrees that is, but it has right, meaning right nose, right built into it, and that makes the helicopter perfectly straight in rate mode. So a couple other little things just as an FYI. And when you do set up the rudder like that, you're going to want to make sure that your rudder channel is 100% throws on each side. As I mentioned, when I bypass the gyro altogether. And then of course, if you don't know, after the fact, when you're all said and done, raising or lowering the ATVs on the rudder channel is going to either, one, increase the pyro speed or decrease it. A lot of people seem to get confused with that, so I'm going to throw that out there as an FYI. A couple other things. I ended up with 12 degrees positive and negative pitch on the pitch, and 12 degrees cyclic. I'm using a 9303 radio. The aileron was, the swash mix was 74, elevator was 74, and the pitch was 50. And of course I always activate the EXP function in the swash menu. Let me see, otherwise a linear mode for all pitch, for all modes, meaning in normal, idle up 1, 2, and throttle hold. I have no adjustments there. It's a linear line straight through. And I think that's about it. And you know, hopefully this will help somebody that's having problems. But I do have to say that if you're having problems, I'm sorry, because the flybarless thing is pretty cool. The 3G unit works pretty well so far for me, and it really feels incredible. I like it a lot. So anyways, we'll talk to you next time. As an afterthought, I thought I would also mention that for the rudder gain or gyro tail gain, it ends up on the 9303 in the gyro sense menu. For me, it's 72, and that's pretty solid at the moment. I may play around a little higher, a little lower, but that seems to be working well. Any questions? Feel free to post them here. Thanks.